Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in this weird, wide, wacky world of ours, and welcome to another exciting installment of Tarheel by Night. The moon is full in a sky set azure, as our vampire protagonists find themselves stood by a clear, glassy lake. This is not just any lake, no, no, no. It stands in the shadow, though distant, of the great grandfather mountain, looming up ahead of them like a great tooth of rock that gouges forth from the earth. They are here to have peace negotiations with the Geru, whom have summoned them all here to answer for crimes and derelictions of a peace treaty long memory to most, but that still burns brightly in their memories. We will enter the scene as our protagonists arrive.
Before walking into the scene, Dr. Eckman flips a card out and contacts Taniqua.
Okay. Let's see. Of course, it's at night. Let's say it's early at night. So, you get a fairly strong response. Yes, baby. What's up?
In the event I don't make it out of this, I have one last request to be made.
Go ahead.
In 490 years' time, could you please drop the wards on my lab and allow for the wormhole to open for anyone who wishes to travel to Kepler 186F? By then, humanity should be ready.
She drops the connection for a second, comes back. Eric's on it.
Thank you. And with that, Dr. Eckman takes a deep breath and walks into the clearing.
Having received
Um,
the message from the crows to basically show up, and he was brutally kind of summoned, told you will be here, and not wanting to risk his own life by disrespecting these proceedings. Nathaniel Ashford is kind of humbly dressed in a business-like rainbow coat, dark suit, pinstripes, red rose in his lapel, and he looks over and sees Eckman. I don't know what you did. I don't know how you did it. I don't know what you wound up doing, but somehow I know you were involved in this somewhere.
Eckman turns to see Ashford. What are you doing here? I was supposed to face the wolves alone.
I was summoned. It wasn't because I wanted to be here.
Well, 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 it looks like we are not alone. How are you this evening, Mr. Ashford?
As a quick out of character note, he's unbandaged now, so he's looking like seriously much better. But he basically turns, kind of smiles, and I'm doing well if I can manage to survive this.
And you, sir, I don't believe I've caught your name.
Dr. Cal Eckman.
Ah, it's a pleasure, Doctor. And the Reverend extends his hand. I'm Reverend Jimmy Johnson with a J. How are you this evening?
Annoyed that there are other kindred here. My hope had been to rectify the situation on my own.
Sir,
You're never
such
alone,
vulgar
Dr.
language.
Eckman.
Dr. Eckman.
You're never alone, Dr. Eckman. As Annika steps up behind him.
Eckman turns
I told
around.
you as much in the email.
Eckman turns around and says, I had been hoping you would stay away. I had been hoping all of you would stay away. Josiah sent me to deal with this, and I was going to answer for my own crimes of opening the wormhole just to contact the wolves.
And you still will. The rest of us were called here for, I'm assuming, other reasons?
Yes. In my case.
In the distance, you all hear a faint. And then silence for the next little while. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just waiting Eckman takes a pause to try to collect himself.
Well, you might have resigned yourself to death, but I think the rest of us are hoping for a stay of execution.
You will get it.
Gentlemen, as you all argue and bicker, what has clearly been set in the middle of this picnic ground, a large circle of rocks that has some twigs and bracken in the center, immediately and comes to light. A bonfire has started. If you wish to make Rorschach chests, by all means, feel free.
Alrighty.
At
Spending
this
a
point,
willpower on this.
I'm not making a Rorschach check. My sheer determination to be here, and my sheer determination to be here is overriding the beast right now.
Yep.
Not necessarily.
No.
All right,
No.
fine, I'll roll.
Spending a willpower, by the way.
What is the roll for that?
Oop,
Courage.
3 successes
Straight-
doesn't
straight
matter anyway.
Hey,
I'll
look,
also
look at all
spend-
them not D10s that Josh just rolled.
Did you say straight courage?
Straight courage.
Courage.
Yeah.
Courage.
Woo!
You only need one success for courage.
Here's hoping.
The
Man,
fact that I got, yeah.
Ashford's apparently got balls of
Good.
skill.
Yeah, Ashford's fine.
I already rolled and got 3 successes.
Okay.
But needless to say, the fire itself has been
5.
kindled.
Jimmy's good. All right, Jimmy's fine.
One kindred that has yet to come up will roll when he enters.
Okie dokie, that's completely
Also,
fine.
Evan, if you could check Facebook for me real quick.
Absolutely.
Just something I forgot to mention.
Okay. If you'd like to
Okay,
just
I got
roleplay your
two
reaction to the fire bursting into existence, that would probably be the best place to go.
Yeah.
Is
Eckman
there
walks
a,
up and warms his hands by the fire.
is there a place to sit away from the center that doesn't look like it's being reserved for someone other than us?
There are a number of picnic tables, as one would find in a somewhat agrarianized area. So wooden picnic tables.
I will have a seat at one of the picnic tables at the very end, sideways, not properly under the table.
Okie dokie.
Annika sits on the end of one of the benches at the picnic tables as well, so that she's facing everybody.
Okie dokie. Josh, where are you standing?
Well, a few good, maybe I'd say a foot away from the fire, but he's definitely looking out into the distance, kind of disconcerted, but he's making a good show of being brave in this, considering the success that I just rolled, so, yeah.
Okie dokie. A voice comes down to you, and it seems to be whirling all around you as if carried on the wind in a very sing-song tone. As a matter of fact, it is a song, and you hear, Land of beauty and land of eagles, land that gave my birth and blessing. We will go home, we will go home, we will go home across the mountain. And you see a figure, a huge monster of a man, stride into the light of the candles, dressed very much as he is here in heavy fabrics and metals that glint ever so slightly in the ambient blaze. He looks at you with very, very heavy and very, very heavy eyes that bore into each one of you as he sniffs the air, his song now complete.
Some distance behind him, you see that there is another figure, this one actually on all fours, and this figure appears to be very upset at the appearance of someone being here.
I'm going to attempt to very, very slowly and very clearly, like my hands will not be hidden, I will not be shifting around. I'm just going to stand like all the way up, and I'll bow, and then I'll take a knee.
The other side of the clearing will come a very lightly colored, almost blonde-looking wolf, pretty massively sized, probably like 6 feet long. He's covered in like scars, and he just like comes in with his head down to the floor, sniffing the ground, and his teeth bared, with his ears up and his tail down, and just like circles around and he barks something to the other two. in, wolf tongue, which will just translate for you guys as like smells like worm.
And sorry.
From the side of the clearing where the previous came from, a Harry Wallace, I'll just go ahead and say it, steps out using his crutches. His usual tan ivy cap, a polo shirt, and regular khakis and some sort of nice shoes, work quality shoes. Steps out, and he doesn't go much beyond the forest and just looks around at all the others that are assembling.
Oh, yes.
Meanwhile,
Out from behind Dougal comes a smaller, younger, obviously human individual. Pale hair, can't be more than the age of 20, draped in furs, and looks very shy at the lot of everyone. She seems the most just simple, timid creature.
and shortly behind her comes a fairly old-looking woman of Native American descent. Those only one of you will recognize her.
Gives her a
Guthrie,
nod.
Eckman recognizes lights.
Eckman gives her a nod and doesn't say anything.
Now
She
then,
just smiles back.
to be frank with you lads and lasses, I am not interested in the little whys and words that you're no doubt going to spill at my feet. However, some of you received invitation to be here this evening. He points a single finger at Mishi's character and goes, "You were not invited here, and yet you foul my woods with your stench."
At this, Eckman takes out the whistle that Lights gave him and places it at the leader's feet.
The hindquarters of the first wolf that you had saw, you see this wolf is chomping at the bit to make an attack. His eyes are narrowed specifically on Mishi. His muscles taut, and all he need but have the word, and he will strike down any that stand in his path.
Light steps forward, holding out a hand to Strikes, and looks to Dougal as a partner to ask if she can handle this.
He will nod his head very kind of gravely. There is no mirth in the face. It appears to be almost chiseled from stone.
Okay. She knows that look and nods. She says in Guru, "Strikes I will handle." She walks over to Annika. "You, my dear, why are you here?"
I learned that a friend of mine might be in trouble. I came to see if there was any assistance that I could lend him, and also any assistance that I could lend to you if you choose to accept his help in dealing with any trouble that may have come up in your area.
"I assume you mean that one," and she points at Eckman.
Hey, Walt.
Yes.
Baines
What?
Baines is going to start barking at the guru lady, and he's basically going to be saying, "Wherever it breeds," and infecting our woods wherever it breeds, and like looks at her and is barking at Michi or Annika.
She just holds a hand to him And after that, she will put that hand on Annika's shoulder and point at Harry. Go there. Do not move.
Annika gets up and goes to join Harry.
Okay, which means you're going to the edge of the woods so you can barely hear what's going on, but you can still hear it.
Hmm.
Okay.
Dougal will walk with his hands clasped behind his back, the huge shoulders rolling from left to right, in a very predatory way, eyeing each of the kindred, looking for any apparent weakness, seeing which one of them will meet his feral gaze. Who will look him in the eye, essentially.
Yeah.
Eckman
At the same time, Strikes' eyes never leave Annika, even as she retires to the edge of the wood line.
Eckman turns his gaze to meet Dougal. Comes to him, bows before him, and says, "The other's crimes are nothing compared to mine.
Eat him
I am
first,
the one who
then.
deserves to die here."
I have not passed sentence of death upon any little man. You will die at my leisure and not before.
However, he turns his back on you and walks back to the edge of the forest.
You may speak your crimes and I will give you judgment.
Eckman stands. In an effort to save the kind, I created a technology that cuts through the Umbra. It would, in theory, have potentially saved all of mankind from themselves from climate change. But the fact that I cut in on your territory and potentially said technology could continue to do so is the greatest crime against your people. No other crimes compare to mine. I deserve death at whatever way you deem fit.
So, is it your words then, little man, that you have created this doodad that allows your perversity to travel through our sacred place?
At this, you see Strikes, those muscles that had tensed, loosen as you see he quite literally as appears in one fluid motion, almost as if he has grown wings, flies across the campground, nearly knocking the good doctor to the ground as the wolf's mouth closes within mere centimeters of the vampire's neck.
He dies when I say he dies, and not before it!
Strikes backs away, but only it appears, though, that the only reason he did so was out of respect.
Now then, answer my question, little man.
The answer is yes.
And you have this technology, this thing of the worm with you?
No. The original technology is currently being held by the mages in the Church of Bethel.
Bane's gonna start howling really hard.
Out of game, you guys respect the mages also.
However, do you still have the designs for this piece?
In here, he points to his memories. This is why I must die.
Bane, kill him!
Okay. Yeah, so Bane kills him.
Actually, wait. Lights steps forward
I don't care.
and
I just
holds
got
up
an order
what?
from I just got an order from my
you did.
alpha of the Sept
did.
to kill
True.
this guy.
True, he did.
Alright, so yes. Should I
We'll
roll?
see him coming, and we'll just step aside.
Alright, so do I need to roll for it, or can we just assume that he gets wrecked?
Yeah, you gotta remember, you're doing ag. It's gonna, yeah, he's gone. He's gonna.
Sorry. I'm gonna revert to being Evan for a moment. Guthrie, is there anything you wanted? You said you wanted to say something. Is there something kind of last words that you want to shout, or some last proclamation?
It's too late. He's already dead. You said Bane kill him. It's too late.
You could have spit. You could have got something out before the strike happened.
Speaking is a free action.
Yes.
You can quite happily have a dying declaration or something that you want to say for posterity. We're not dicks here, essentially.
We'll give you a chance. Who knows? You might say something that stops it.
Eckman says. Eckman in the free word says, "My legacy is protected. Humanity will eventually leave this planet and go to the new one, and leave the wolves their sacred land."
Okie dokie. So in that case, Baines will carry out his order.
Yeah, he'll just jump forward, rather swiftly, and land on his chest and eat his head.
Blood and guts and sinew flying everywhere.
And you, Harry Wallace, do you speak for the friend of this dead thing?
He says, pointing at Mishi without looking at her.
Hey, Will and Walt, by the way, I just rolled a perception primal urge and got shit ton of successes. To smell anyone else who smells bad, if you know what I mean.
That brouhaha.
Yeah, is pretty much
popping.
Everybody has 7 or higher, right? Besides her.
Nope.
In
Well,
humanity?
besides her, yeah.
I have 7.
Mitchell.
You did?
Not on. Yeah, you must. Not on what we had.
Did you forget to update?
I must have forgot to update after the church scene.
Because I do remember you were involved and you succeeded.
All right, if that's it. All right, Walt's saving you here. Walt saved you here, so yeah, nobody popped up.
So yeah, but it's just so we'll sort of mildly retcon that she stunk. So yeah. But still, she's one of the more aggressive ones. Anyway, okay, you said, do you speak for her? Harry will actually step forward. She is on the path. I'm teaching her as best I can.
Then she may leave my woods now, and she has my promise of safe conduct. No one will lay a hand upon her, or they answer to me.
Annika, leave. Now.
Annika turns and leaves the forest.
Thank you, Dougal.
It is for the respect that my family, my clan, and my sept bear you, but it will not happen again.
He just nods.
Now then, we come to the issues that I have brought the other filth to my forest to address. Those who would defy a treaty written centuries in the past. Oh yes, centuries might seem like but the flippancies of time for you leeches, but to us, we honor time.
Ashford is basically waiting for permission to speak, but if it's been given, he'll pipe up. Otherwise, he's clearly respecting Dougal's authority as a 9-foot-tall giant, frightening.
He's not 9 foot tall. He's about 6'5".
He's close enough.
Yep. Alright.
Foot. My claim it is that
Did his audio
We
cut
missed
out for
that.
anyone else?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Really
did.
badly.
We missed most of that.
okay, am I back?
Yes, you
Question mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
He says the other human kinfolk. My kinfolk Softfoot has claimed that you have besmirched the treaties that govern where you may set foot.
Out of character. Is this a general question? A question-like statement, or
No,
is it?
he's making a statement of fact as opposed to a question. He's saying, do you deny
let me-
this essentially?
Let me rephrase. Is this directed at the both of us, or just at Ashford?
At both of you.
Okay. It would be the furthest thing from my intention to call anyone that I have never met a liar. So I shall not. I will, however, state that I personally had no knowledge of these treaties when I came in. If I am currently on your property, I do apologize. If you would kindly show me the boundaries of your land, that I may not step foot in your doorstep uninvited.
Is this, Mr. Wallace, what ye teach the young ones, to have no respect for tradition?
This is the first time I've met this one in person.
Mountain Speaker Raya. Shall I take them both and drag them across the borders?
He will look to Softfoot and he will say,
Are these definitely in Geru? Are these the one?
can you still speak Geru in human form, or can you not
Yeah,
pronounce
you
it?
can. You can.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just sounds funny.
And speaking Geru, and he will ask her, "Are these the ones who have profaned? Are these the ones who have profaned our territory?"
If I recall out of character, I don't believe they are, actually.
Yeah, they were.
Yes, they
Oh,
were.
they were. Sorry.
Well,
I apologize. I got that
one of
wrong.
them was. One of them you recognize. One of them you recognize. It was the one you recognize. The one that was driving the car. He's here. That would be Josh, but you don't recognize the other one.
Okay. She will actually point to the leech in particular and say that one.
I see. You represent your god, is that right?
He says, pointing at the Reverend.
I do.
Your church is located in an area that is forbidden for your kind.
I'm terribly sorry about that. I truly had no idea, and I give you my assurances that I will be taking this matter up with those who have allowed me, rather mistakenly, to reside in your area.
And as for you, Leech, according to Mr. Wallace, you are known to him. Is that correct?
Yes, great leader. I am known to him. As unfortunately, the issue is, I was merely reporting the fact that the good Reverend was on the land. I was not intending to breach your territory. I was in merely the performance of my duties.
Is ignorance an excuse where you come from, boy?
He basically backs down. No, sir. I was. It was not my intent to dishonor myself in such a fashion.
You hear a low rumble come from Strikes, almost as if he's trying to speak, but the word is extremely broken. Stupid.
He walks up and he places his hand on Softfoot's shoulder, and he will say,
I'm led to understand that you drive a fancy mobile that the humans favor.
Yes, sir.
That you pollute our world with its noxious vapors.
He would simply nod, being unable to dispute the fact that cars do pollute even though his own businesses don't.
Raya, burn him in his weaver box.
What is the consensus with you, Wallace? There must have been a default in the treaty for the violation. What will the leeches give us for the lives of these two? Concessions must be made.
What do they have that we want? Nothing.
Check Facebook wall.
Doing it.
Regarding that last question.
"Oh no, see, no, this accent is actually one day going to give me throat cancer."
What you say about every accent here? Oh.
Shut up, Becca.
He will actually look Dougal straight in the face. Will you permit me to speak with the other you trust?
He will cock his head.
Speak tonight, or there will be no more speaking. I have given you a consent of but one.
Wait, what was that you sort of cut out a little bit there? Say again.
I said, I have given you a concession, and you will have but one.
Which, in no uncertain terms, he pretty much just said, fuck no.
Blood for blood.
He points at let's see, hang on. He points at Mr. Johnson, Reverend Johnson, and says, "This one will move his church far from your sacred place. I will help him choose a place. This one," and he points at Ashford, "though he also be on the path, will be given a much wider berth of the cairn. And if you will permit, I will deal their punishments."
No. No, Leech. We will, as we have in the past, compromise. Both of my Aroons wish to have some sport tonight. Back to your filthy city, naked and bleeding for their crimes, but alive. And that one,
he points to Ashford,
will swear a thrice-binding oath never to use, possess, or in otherwise accept acceleration in those damned machines ever again.
Hang on, guys.
I'm making him swear an oath never to use, own, or be in a car ever again.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. There's something that you don't know about this character that I'll tell you later.
Hey, whenever he's gonna make them run for this hunt, I want to use my gift to start it off.
You're not allowed to kill them, but when you catch them, you can drag them bloodily
going to
and
make them
painfully back to the city.
I'm gonna make them suffer from delirium.
That'll do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna chase them to the woods.
Excellent.
Purposefully
And then we're not gonna
in circles.
Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, remind me again in normal accent because I know that hurts.
He's making him swear an oath to never use, possess, or drive a car.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, I assume, Jake, you can back me up on this. I assume there are spirits who can enforce you making an oath.
Yep.
That's there. Yeah,
Yep.
they can.
And
let's get a theurge up here.
I am a theurge.
He
Oh, there you
is.
go.
Yep.
Yes.
So no, you're good.
Mhm.
You're a rank 5 theurge.
And
You do everything you want.
what was the other one that?
That
What was the
basically
punishment for the other
they're
one?
both going to be stripped naked and sent to run through the woods, and my runes will hunt them down and drag them back to civilization, but they will be unharmed. Well, no, they won't be killed. They will be harmed.
Oh, they will be. Yeah.
Alright, so
Taking the.
of the vampires, who has the highest willpower?
I've got
Good
6.
question.
you're talking permanent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 7, so
Okay. So I'm going to spend a point of
Mine's
rage.
higher than that. Mine's higher than that.
Okay, what is it?
Or
He's not.
Eight.
Is he?
He's not
affecting?
part of it though. He's
No,
not
he's
part
not.
of this.
He
yeah,
has
I'm not
protection.
part of that. Right. Yeah, I'm not part of the thing. So it's just them two. Those two. Okay.
Right, okay. So I'm going to roll Manipulation Primal Urge, difficulty 7.
Wait, you have to wait until I get the oath from your man in order to bind him to never own, operate, or even be inside a car ever again.
Okay.
Harry will look at Ashford. I think it's fair. We can find you other ways of transport.
so do I. I want to live. I want to at least
Live. Don't live.
At the mention of the word live, they do all seem to get a lot more hostile.
Mm-hmm.
pardon me, exist.
Swear oath or die.
Must I shed blood to honor this oath?
Does he have blood to shed?
Leech blood defile Gaia.
Yes, I will not have it spilled in my woods, or the stench will never leave us. Your word will be acceptable.
It is given. I will not own, possess, or travel in a motorized vehicle again.
You will never possess, operate, or travel within.
Yep.
Okay. With that, the theurge will lower his head and will start to chant very slightly under his breath, in language in a mixture between Gaelic and kind of yipping shouts. And a dull greenish light will wrap its way around. Nathaniel Ashford, centering on his heart, until in a blaze, a momentary zzz, it will contract and then convulse down, and it will say, "And if you break this oath,
I will know, laddie, and I will find you. Now then, the night grows old, and you have, what seems fair, my friends? What kind of head start would you give a leech?
None.
But that's not sporting.
As you say that, Baines the Worm Fiend's going to throw his head back. And Walt, if your character's willpower is like 9 or less, this will also affect you. He throws his head back and just lets out this like a mix of like a guttural growl and a really high-pitched, horrifying shriek. And then all of the human, formerly human, or partly human creatures who can see Baines now suffer from delirium.
All right, and for record, what does that do?
All right, I'm going to put the link here in the chat. But based on your willpower, that's what it does.
I take it doesn't affect the rest of us.
No, just the human, formerly human, or partly human. So
Will it affect the kinfolk over there?
Yes.
It should not.
It does, I'm pretty sure.
It didn't in the. Oh, did it? It didn't in the past.
They're for all intents and purposes specified as wolves, so no.
Only other werewolves in Farah. It says only other werewolves in Farah are immune. Kinfolk's not a werewolf.
Okay. Right.
In that case, as you do it, Dougal will point at Softfoot and will say, "Be home with ye."
And she's off, scrambling.
Alright, so whatever your willpower is on that chart, it tells you what it is, like what happens to you.
Alright.
If it's 6, you try to like beg and plead with the guru. If it's 7, you go into controlled fear. You don't panic, but you will flee or fight as appropriate.
Okay, so fleeing off, definitely.
Alright, you'll also forget about this.
Yep.
Investigate.
But 7 will not. You'll remember it. But you'll rationalize what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Curiosity will rationalize, but is just curious about it. Mm-hmm. And because of what he knows, it sort of almost overrides, but not quite. He's still not entirely sure what happened here.
I have a mechanics question based on this. Since delirium is generally invoked at the site of certain Geru forms, and this is being initiated outside of the norm,
yes.
I will only forget from this point forward involving Baines, correct?
No, you don't forget anything.
No. My willpower is 6.
Oh, I thought you said it was 7.
No, the chart says I will forget.
Yeah, so yeah.
Do I forget from this point onward and remember the rest of the conversation?
I would assume so, yes.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. That's really important because
it's true. You don't want to forget to move your church.
No, that's not the part that I don't care to forget. We're going to have lots of conversations with people after this. And I will be begging, pleading, and backing up slowly without taking my eyes off of anyone if possible.
Run, little leeches, run away.
Run, boy, run.
And as Corey steps back into the woods, he'll say, "And I shall return home. Thank you for your time, Dougal." And he'll leave.
Baines will shift into Krenos, and he looks like sexy Dolph Lundgren werewolf. He starts chasing you down with a big-ass meat cleaver.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, as he begins, Strike's also shifting. The wolves that are gathered there actually see Strike's purposefully trips Baines as he takes off after, specifically after the Setite.
Mm-hmm. And spending blood is reflexive, right?
I believe so.
It does not take an action.
Yes.
That is what you mean. It's not necessarily reflexive, but it does take an action.
Well, I'm in controlled fear. I'm boosting my dex to get the frick out of here. All right. And
Dougal is going to look at the young ones scampering off after the pathetic leeches, and on fire will simply die away as he clasps it into a fist. He will shake his head, and for the first time let out into the sky a very, very long, feral howl before he himself will, still in his human form, trump back into the foliage. And I think that we shall call it there, boys and girls.
Um, uh, Lights is still
Is
has
she?
not been
Speaking
told
of
about.
lights,
Has
speaking
not
of
been
lights,
told about.
Walt. Speaking of lights,
Yes.
I'm about to send you something on Facebook that you need to see.
Okay.
Before we close out the scene, I would like to know exactly the extent of the injuries that I sustained in leaving. This will be important later.
You will literally have aggravated damage done to you until you are 1 point above death.
Okay,
Both of you.
all right. So I will definitely bleed from this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but we're going to be very specific. We're not going to let you bleed in the forest. We're going to drag you out onto a road or something.
That's fine.
Man-made.
That's fine.
I ain't bleeding in my forest.
But they will let me bleed. Like, they will cause me to bleed.
Yes.
Okay,
Well, if
good.
I guess he's going after you. I'm going after whoever he isn't going after. I'm just going to cut their arms off with the sword.
Well, that is noted,
Okay.
and it will happen.
All right.
We can do that later when there's time. Yeah. Unless you want to do it like soon.
Actually, you might as well go ahead and do it now, because while the thing's going.
So he loped off into the woods.
Yep.
Lights still standing there with the fire down, and the rest of the wolves run off. Look around. Look down at the ground, at the whistle that was laid at Dougal's feet. She will lean over, pick it up, and blow it. And
Dougal, you'll know this.
An eagle's cry will be heard by the entire Sept. Along with the echoing final words of Eckman. She will take the whistle, kneel down, say a quick thank you to Gaia, let out a sorrowful howl, dig into the earth, drop the whistle in, and cover it back over. At which point she will shift into Lupus form and also loop into the woods.
At that point, are we going to close out?
Yep, that'll do it.
Okay.